So I was reading a post online. Someone was sharing 10 mistakes that writers make when they're editing their book. And I read through it, and the 10 items, I think it was 10, they true, very true. All of them definitely could be true. However, I think the biggest mistake that can be made by a writer wasn't on the list. It is editing your own book. And you may not agree with me necessarily, but hear me out for just a minute or two. So when you wrote the book, you had your thoughts, and you were sharing, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, you were sharing stories, and you were telling them in a way that made sense to you. When you read through it again, your brain isn't going to necessarily catch all the mistakes, all the words that shouldn't have been there, or the grammar, and it's because it's your work. So you're just automatically, not even realizing it, of course, you're just going to glaze over a lot of it. So my recommendation would be is find someone that will read it for you from cover to cover and is able to give you feedback, show you where maybe something wasn't right, or something didn't make sense, or didn't flow very well, and let them bring that back to you, and you can start with those edits. This also gives you some time to take a break, and you're not too focused on what you just finished, like, oh, I've got to finish, and then I've got to edit it, and I've got to do this and this. Just let somebody else look at it. It doesn't have to be a professional editor the first time. It will help a lot when you're reading their comments and their feedback, and see what mistakes and corrections that need to be made. And after that, you can take a copy and send it off to an editor who will do a professional edit for you. But at least you got hopefully a good once through done, so that ideally what you would have done, so that you're not missing too much, and you'll get it back from the editor a lot quicker when there's not that much to change. Now, the other thing is, I would say find someone who enjoys the genre that you write in, because it'll make it more enjoyable for them, but also they'll know if things aren't just quite right. Like, okay, well, I read these books all the time, and there's something about this that just doesn't make sense to me. Here's what I'm seeing, and so on. And I think you get the gist of it. But it's not that you can't edit your own book, but most people, you're either a writer or an editor. It's hard to do both. And so for the majority of authors out there, especially if you're self-publishing, you want as many eyeballs to go over your work as possible, so that the finished product is as near perfect as can be. Hopefully that was helpful to someone today.